Oh, I'm not keen. Oh, go ahead. We'll talk about it. Like, keep going.
Okay. Countdown coming. Whoa. Countdown coming.
Hey, good morning, Patriots. It's a great day before Christmas. You better get out there and shop, shop, shop. It's like we should do a song like Casey and the Sunshine Band. Shop, shop, shop. And my favorite shopper, Secret Santa shopper, is Chris Cordani. Here he is. Chris, good morning.
And good morning. Again, it's a Monday. I like Mondays about as much as the Boomtown Rats in Garfield.
Yeah, except Garfield at least gets pizza, doesn't he? Isn't that what he eats? Pizza?
I think he eats lasagna, right?
Lasagna.
Yeah.
I knew it was Italian, and you're Italian, so that makes sense, right?
Yep. Or good old fashioned cat food. No, he doesn't like cat. I guess he does eat a bowl of
No,
cat food.
I don't think he eats cat food. I think
He
I
eats
think
lasagna.
no. You know who eats cat food is the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. His mom eats cat food. I don't know if you knew this because he keeps her in some little house in Minnetonka, Minnesota. So she's he said she can't afford anything, right? He said I'm just going on what he said. I'm just saying. So it's a shame that the left allows their grandparents and parents to eat, uh, you know, fancy feast.
Well, hey, Fancy Feast is upper crust to those people, right?
There he is.
And that's for
There's
snob cats, so it's perfect for
That's
them, right?
right. That's right.
Yeah.
My mom can't afford anything,
Yeah.
even though I'm governor.
It for his mom, it's probably more or less the money saving brand cat food. Remember
Don't you
those?
know? Yes.
The white
Oofta.
label, it just said MSB with a dollar sign in the middle. That's
Yes.
what we grew
For,
up
for
on.
my friends in Brainerd, Oofta, because I know they're watching. So Oofta to you all, and be sure and check on Tim Wall's mom because she shouldn't be eating cat food. Just saying. So anyway, back to back to brighter things. Good morning, folks. I'm seeing you all showing up now. It's going to be a great show. Um, so let's start off with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing one of the Army jerseys. You hold on, let me turn around
Looks good. It's
here.
a
And
fashion. You're a fashion plate.
I am. I'm a fashion pioneer and a retired officer of the U.S. Army. But I did not go to West Point. Just saying, don't nobody complain. I did not. I actually knew who my parents were. No, it's a joke. That's a joke. Don't write into the
No,
show.
oh, that's gotta hurt. Ouch.
Don't complain. Don't complain. Well, anyway, we'll move on from that. I'm disappointed because the Army lost. I'm just saying they came in 10-1, right, Chris? You followed this more than me.
Right.
They were doing well.
They were the conference champions. They beat Tulane. They come in, and the thing is, when it comes to Army Navy, the records don't matter. Army could be 3-7 with Navy on a bowl bid, and Army could overpower them, and vice versa. Right now, both teams were very good this year in the same conference, which is even better. But consider this: it was a good game between two powerhouse teams.
Yeah. And one powerhouse team, the Navy figured out how to defeat the Army because Army had no air game. Just saying, it's like
Right? Yeah,
the lesson learned.
they never bothered.
Don't
Right.
do one thing over and over. You know.
Yeah, they
And maybe they beat 2 lane because it wasn't 4 lane. Is that possible? No, it's a joke.
Ooh. Well, they're also losing their running back.
Yeah.
Not that
I
they
guess
don't.
he's in the portal, right? Did they trade people? He's in the portal.
Well, apparently, what's happening is I forgot his name. He is the running back is going to be going to made himself eligible to transfer to another college.
Yeah, in the portal. That's what they call it.
Right,
He's
the
in the
portal.
portal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
transfer portal. That's it. Yeah.
I'm using your term, not mine. I just read about this. So, I'm not. I'm not serious. I just like. Anyway, it was a cold game. It was in Washington FedEx Field. got there early because I had to do a hit for Newsmax right at 11, and no, 11:30, and they opened at 11, so I had to get through security and all that stuff, and it was cold. Anyway, I got the Army. This is a tribute to the 101st Airborne Division, Bastung, and that's why they have the explanation point in Army, because it's supposed to represent the response of the commanding general when he was asked to surrender. You know what he said to the Germans, right? First, you remember this?
Okay, what did he say?
Nuts. He did. He's like, hey, we surrounded you. It's cold. It was December of 44, and you got nothing left. Surrender is like nuts. No, we'll just
Oh
wait.
well,
Show up, and they did. It's like, yeah, we're fine.
they did their impersonation of France.
Right. It's like, yeah, we're not horse eating surrender monkeys. Thank
I
you very
love
much.
that surrender monkeys. That's great.
So anyway, speaking of surrender monkeys, let's get into that. So one of the benefits of having friends in high places. Good morning, Kevin Winsing, Captain Navy Captain Kevin Winsing. Shout out to Kevin.
Excellent.
Was on the organizing committee of the Army Navy game. Great guy. Anyway, he got it. He got us our tickets, and also he got us a bonus. I had access to the Army warming room, and man, oh man, am I grateful for that. I had no idea it was going to be. I mean, I don't go to these things routinely, and last time I went was 10 years ago when I hosted the Fox News coverage that morning, and it was in Philadelphia, and it was warm compared to yesterday. Anyway, I digress. People go check out my Facebook. It's all there. I've kind of laid it all out. Anyway,
Loads of pictures. Yes.
loads of pictures. Yeah, go feast on the pictures. It's like a pre-Christmas gift for me to you, right?
Yeah, I was there.
My
And you
gift to
weren't.
you.
All right.
That's right. Before you get out and shop, go check out my Facebook. Anyway, I digress. So I hope. Oh, good morning, Ed. I hope our evil overlord is watching because he doesn't know I'm going to do this. Anyway,
Ooh.
I, I guess I was okay with the Army for the day because I got to meet the Secretary of the Army. She was chill. Saw General George, good all around guy. General George, Chief of Staff of the Army, the guy that runs the Army. We had a good time talking. For those listening also who are Army, I tried to convince him twice. He needs to add pull-ups to the Army PT test. Just saying if it comes, and he was agreeing with me. So, maybe pull-ups are in the making for all of you Army folks. So just better start getting prepared. That's right.
Working for me. Yes.
Anyway, after all that, halftime comes and we're cold. We go to the Army warming room. My friend Chris Plant is there. Our friend Chris from the Right Squad, and he's on air right now. As a matter of fact, he just went on air in WMAL in DC. Anyway, so Chris and I are, and his best girl and my best girl, we're all hanging out there. And guess who I see standing at the next table? Any guesses?
Is it Brian Stelter? No, I doubt he'd be allowed in the warming room.
So the standards I found out are pretty low, but not that low. I mean,
Okay.
they would have probably taken Brian and cooked him in the back and served him for on a buffet because I mean, they needed hot potatoes, and he's a hot potato, a hot mess, and a hot potato. But no,
All right. All
no,
right.
Chris, there was another hot mess.
Okay. Was it? Let's see. Was it Jake Sullivan?
No, Jake. I don't think that they'd let Jake into the stadium, let alone into the Army warming room.
No.
It was not Jake.
Okay.
No,
Was
I
it Stephen
think
A. Smith now?
I think Stevie Nicks. No, I don't
Stephen
think
A. Smith.
No, Stephen A. No, he was not there either. he and Stevie Nicks were not there either. No. One more guess, and then I'll tell you.
Was it? I know. Juan Acosta.
No.
Okay, all right. I'm throwing him.
No.
Right.
It was my friend and your friend John Kirby. There he is.
Wait a minute. Isn't he
That's
a Navy
great
guy?
picture.
What's the Navy guy
Well,
doing in the
there's
Army
a
warming
story
room?
there. There's a story there. So yes, that was my first thought too. It's like he's an admiral. So John Kirby looking about like that. That's pretty accurate. Was kind of standing there next to the table, and I know John. You guys know I know John, and do you want to know what I did next?
Let's see. You flipped him. Oh, never mind.
No, no,
I'm
no,
just
no.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I
I'm
walked
just
I
kidding.
walked up to John. I said, John, hey, this is an army room. What are you doing in here? He says, oh, Tony. He says, the Navy didn't invite me into the Navy warming room, and the Secretary of the Army took pity on me.
Mm, really?
Yes, I am not joking.
What was he?
It's
What
like,
they think it was
well,
bad luck?
anyway, just saying. And he said it again a second time later when he was leaving, when he would talk to Chris Platt. And I'll tell you about that in a second too. Anyway, so I basically say, John, look, I am so sorry that you've been saying so many stupid things. I have to call you out every day.
Well, he's paid for it, isn't he?
Anyway, I did. I said, yeah, I am so sorry. I'm having to constantly make fun of you on air, which is true. I do, and we are. See, right here, deja vu all over again, right? So anyway, so John Kirby, Admiral, Navy Admiral. He's not a admiral in the. He's not an admiral in the Salvation Army, because the Salvation Army actually has generals, I think, too. Just saying.
They do. They do have the ranks and everything. They have. It's a
Yeah,
full army. Yes, yes. That's
yeah.
absolutely true.
So Admiral Kirby was not permitted in the Navy warming room. Take that as you will, may. I don't know what to make of it. It is
It
as we
is
say
what
in the
it is.
business, it is what it is, right?
I'll go with it.
Yeah. And then Chris Platt and I are yucking it up in the Army warming room, having good food. By the way, they had good food. It was nice to be warm. It was packed, but it was warm. And so we're sitting there at halftime just chatting. And then John gets ready to leave. And so I look over at Chris, like I say, Chris Platt. I said, Chris, watch this. So anyway, as John's walking over, he comes by to say goodbye as he walks out. And I shake his hand. It's like, John, I got to ask you, are they preparing a firing squad in the field for you right now? It's true. I did it. I'll bet you Chris Platt is talking about the same thing on his show right now in DC. Anyway, I did, and he said, "Well, not that he was aware of." So I think he got off the hook, but it was interesting that that was my encounter with John. I never met a Democrat I didn't like, Kirby. So there you go. So what are your questions, Chris? Any questions about my encounter? Which it was like encountering a beast in the wilderness, but knowing it had kind of its best days behind it. But it was interesting. So what do you think?
Well, first off, I always thought he was just AI anyway, because I didn't think a human being would be able to go out and be able to lie as much as he did, aside from Karine Jean-Pierre. But again, that's another story for another day. Um,
Yeah,
think
I
about it. I'm wondering how any Democrat has never met a Democrat they didn't like. I mean, a lot of them I didn't like, and not because they're Democrats, because they're obnoxious. And that's another story.
a close friend said that John Kirby has taken the Potomac elixir. He's become really drunk on Potomac River water. Some do. Some become so enamored with the political party that they're supporting that's all they focus on. So I don't want to make this political, but it kind of is. I've known John a long time. So and shout out to you, John. And thank God they didn't shoot you. I'm just thankful. I was, man, because they had
Only,
guns there too. Yeah.
only
So I'm
if
just saying,
Army
it's like,
won. Yeah, only if Army won. That's right.
well, maybe that's what they were doing. They're warming them up. I don't know. I don't know these things. So
Hey,
anyway,
do the Marines have a football team? I don't remember. I know Air Force has one. It's usually between
no,
the
I
three
think they got
teams.
a coloring book squad. They go around coloring in kindergarten.
All
It's
right,
like
I think I
they
teed that
show.
one up for him. Hey yo!
Hey, oh, they're good at going to kindergartens. They're very inspirational to kindergarten classes. Like
Oh
someday
man!
you're going to be in first grade and you can't color anymore, so you better enjoy it now. And of course, then they say, of course, get through high school, then you can join the Marines, and you can come back and color again. It's good. It's like the circle of life.
Well, again, they do have the adult coloring books for millennials, so that kind of
Yes,
thing
and
just
and
kind of
then
crosses over,
and
right?
just yes, correct. Yeah, TS money got it right. The Marines play. Let me get this in the chat. The Marines play on the Navy team.
Okay.
As
Well, they do.
so no. Let me clarify this because this is important. Now, another strange character. It's on my Facebook. Is from 10 years ago when Joe Dunford was chairman. Chairman Dunford. I posted a picture of Joe and I together. Joe's a Marine. For those who are not paying attention, I love Joe. He's a good friend. Anywho, at the Army Navy game, and I think it was 15 or 16. I can't remember which year it was. I think it was 16. Maybe it was 15. I don't know. Anyway, we Army had taken they set aside a game ball for Joe Dunford, for Chairman Dunford. And I've told the story. Some people have heard the story already, so bear with me. But at the Army Navy game there, I had to meet with Joe right after the coin toss. He was there for the coin toss. And then Mark Milley. I know, I don't want to hear it. I know Mark Milley was Chief of Staff of the Army. And at the time, he was mad at me. He's mad at me again now, but he was mad at me before because of the Bergdahl issue. That's a whole nother story. Anyway, at least for the game, we decided to set aside our differences and pretend we liked each other. So it's like, okay, hey, we're here together. Let's just get along, kind of like I did with John Kirby. It's like that. Hey, let bygones be bygones. Let's just get along for the game. Anyway, so at the kickoff, the Chief of Staff of the Army, Mark Milley, and I, Tony Shaffer, you guys know who I am. See, I'm here. And we take this ball and we take it to Joe Dunford. For those paying attention, Joe's a Marine, right? And this is an Army-Navy game. It's up in Philadelphia. So as we're standing there and I'm presenting the game ball to Joe, I look over at Joe and I say, Joe, we the Army are giving you this football to remind you, if it was not for the Marine Corps, the Navy would not be a service.
Oh,
yeah. So it was a great moment. And everybody got a good laugh out of it, especially the Marines, since it's true. Just saying, Navy,
Well, here's another question for you.
Yeah.
Did you see any drones fly over the game?
We did. There were drones. There were quite a few. I think they looked like those TIE fighters from Star Wars. They were kind of chasing around the rebels. So they were kind of, in and out. So
the moon is really the Death Star. I knew it all along.
I think so. I think so. I think they're all asleep at the switch. I think they're waiting until they can get the dark side to swing around. It's on the dark side, and they keep waiting for the moon to swing around. It never does. It was designed by the Democrats, by the way. That's why it won't swing around. Just saying.
It stays where it is. There you go.
It stays where it is. That's right. That's right. So much like belly button lint. You don't know where it comes from, but it's pretty annoying. That's the Democrats.
No, it's really annoying. Oh, here's something for you. Did you get to hear?
I'm listening.
Let's have some fun. As always,
we've been having fun.
Yeah, as always, the lovely Kamala Harris is great with providing us some fine material here. She had a neat little I guess gathering recently, and was discussing how the Democrats were not defeated and will not be defeated after their big defeat. So here you go. Little bit, and I'm warning you, if you had breakfast already, some of it might come out. Can you uncode this?
Our spirit is not defeated. We are not defeated. Let's be clear about that.
Let's be clear.
We are strong. We are clear about why we are in this. And because you're here right now, I say, again, thank you, because not only are you clear about all of that, you're willing to put in the hard work. And that work must continue. We cannot let any circumstance or situation or individual ever take away our power to know why we do what we do and our ability to then get that work done. And especially because we know what we stand for, and that's why we know what to fight for.
That's right. So we're going to be clear
Boy.
about that. If you're clear, then we're clear. And in fact, Mr. Clean is clear. There we go. Because it's clear what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the things that are needed to be for which to be fought.
She is unburdened by any intelligence beyond that of a 3-day Dunkin' Donut. I'm just saying, it's like
The only thing this woman ever proves to us post-election at all when she speaks is the bullet this country dodged. Because there were a lot of people who did vote for this person. I'm glad people got up out of their homes and went to the voting booths to make sure she did not become president, because this would have been an utter disaster.
Yeah, just saying. I mean, man, she's unburdened by anything that has anything to do with actual leadership or comprehension of the reality in which we live.
There are people that actually think she should run in 2028. I mean, most of them are Republicans, but still.
Yeah. Well, no, I see. That's where I'm all for it. If the other side, maybe she and Jack Kirby could run together. That's a great ticket right there. Just saying. I mean, John, if you're listening, think about it. You'd add a lot to the ticket. At least you could bring some level of cohesion to an otherwise feckless and meandering focus, right? Right, Chris? He could bring some focus.
Exactly. Maybe her and Beaker could run together. You have Jake Sullivan as her vice presidential candidate. She could shave her head like the other girls are doing in protest of Trump, put some glasses on, and she could be Bunsen Honeydew. And it will be absolutely perfect.
One person who's not shaving her head and is always beautiful and impeccable is Cheryl Chumley. Good morning, Cheryl.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning, and it's great to have you here. And again, nobody I know, especially you. You're not going to shave your head, right?
No head shaving this week in the Chumley household.
Well, as the great Tennessee Tuxedo would say, let's go, Chumley.
That's a great cartoon. It really is.
That was one of my favorites. I used to sit through Woody Woodpeckers just to hope that either Tennessee Tuxedo and Chumley were on or Commander McBragg. I always liked Commander McBragg.
But since we're geezing, I miss Major Matt Mason. I actually have the toy still, believe it or not, upstairs in my sci-fi wing of the house. So it's kind of cool.
Really
collectible.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah, so the Major Matt Masons I love, but they are built. They weren't built for child safety, because inside of I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Major Matt Mason. It was a whole thing of mid 1960s. Spacemen, kind of mimicking the Apollo program, and for stability in these, they're hard rubber, sort of hard rubber. They put wires inside to kind of around the rubber. So eventually, if you play with it long enough, the rubber wears away and the wires start sticking out. So it's hard. You got to find them with the wire still in, which you can find them, and not cheap, but they're around. So it's kind of cool.
I was going through an old rabbit hole when I was younger of old cartoons that I guess my parents and grandparents used to watch, and these are also available on YouTube now. But remember the early animation like Clutch Cargo, which, by the way, you think him or Race Bannon look more like Mike Pence?
Race Bannon.
Yeah, that's definitely Mike Pence. This is more like he looks
this
more
is
like
more like
early
John Kerry. This is John Kerry when he was Swiss boating.
Definitely John Kerry. Definitely.
Did you ever see a Clutch Cargo? If you watch them, this is early animation where they actually use human mouths over animation. So it was really creepy looking. They had these animated characters like just doing the jump shots or whatever, and these lips going, well, looks like we got to go somewhere, Clutch. And then Clutch goes, oh, don't worry, I will make sure there is no danger. And it's the lips. It was really creepy.
Isn't it funny? It's such a natural segue to go from Kamala Harris to cartoons, right?
She's a cartoon character. That's correct.
Slides right in
space
there.
between the two. Yeah, it's like they're parallel planes of existence. So, speaking of, we had a very interesting week, and Chris, why don't you lead us through the week, and you can tell us what you want to talk about, and we'll talk about it. How about that?
All right. Well, first off, First off, let's just talk. Let's start with the serious stuff because, well, the serious stuff, and we can also call it the serious stuff. Well, we have Al Qaeda Light, who has now taken over Syria, at least for the moment,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure the civil war. But despite what anybody says, any civil war is not going to be over, and there are definitely some factions that want in. Israel's pounding its way in. You have a Middle East interest all around there. You got the other terrorist organizations watching in, and you have Joe Biden celebrating this like that. Like now that the former bigwig from Al Qaeda has taken over, at least for the moment. You have Biden saying, well, it looks like now there's going to be a new constitutional government set up for the people. So let's send more taxpayer money to them. And yes, just recently, he finally realized there's danger. And the administration says, well, maybe some citizens that we have there in Syria should leave. Let's start there.
So isn't it funny that the Joe
You
Biden
first, Cheryl.
administration starts with Afghanistan, right, and finishes with this? So it's just, it's more foreign policy chaos brought by a weak White House administration. I know you guys agree that when America's weak, the world goes on fire, and this is just, the latest. They're trying to wedge it in before Donald Trump gets into the office.
Well, let me ask you about that, Cheryl, because this is right now at the time we're taping this. Well, it's live, but I'm just saying as things transpire, they're trying to sell off all the materials for the wall in advance of Trump's return. Just sell them all off. Like, we'll just get rid of them. And now we're trying to fund the chaos in Syria. And you and I both know, and we talked about this in the show last week, it's like, who exactly do you write checks to? Who do you send the money to? It's like they don't have a government.
Oh, no,
Like
they have it. It's right there. It's written down. It's a gentleman named Albert Qaeda. It's right there on the checks.
And then you have Ukraine and the what is, I don't know why Zelensky can't buy a suit. Now, maybe they don't have suits in kid sizes. Is that possible, Chris? He's so small they don't make suits that size. Is that why?
Well, he says it gets away. It gets in the way of his occasional beard.
Well, that could be true.
The guy doesn't wear suits.
Well, the good news about having a beard is you can like store food up for a week and just don't have to worry about it. Oh, there he is with no beard. There you go.
Here's my actual theory on this.
Okay.
This is all about public relations. Yes, I went through this last week with you about him being an actor. But check this out. When he took office, remember, Zelensky was public enemy number one. He was the new Trump. He was the bad guy internationally. I remember this. Democrats were going off on this guy because, well, Ukraine's full of Nazis. This man comes up there, steps up with a uniform. He's instantly the lame brains in America. We have a lot of those who tend to wince towards Democrat and think everything they hate's a Nazi, will see him as such. And therefore, they'll revolt against sending all sorts of taxpayer money.
Yeah.
Democrats need these people there. So they need this actor to play this role as the, as the regular guy who's a grassroots guy running his country.
Yeah.
When he really isn't.
No, and no, I'm not saying that leaders who wear uniforms are bad, because Winston Churchill during World War II wore a uniform and he was prime minister. Just saying. But I'm saying in this case, Well, Idi Amin. Well, I don't know. I don't think Zelensky quite has the panache of Idi Amin. Idi Amin at least had a personality. I don't know. I mean,
right, and a better cookbook.
Yeah, that's true. So, but sure, what do you make? Do you think? Now, I've heard Mike Waltz make some pretty pointed comments about the frustration with the administration right now. Is there anything you think the Trump folks can do to mitigate some of this destructive behavior of the outgoing Biden folks?
Well, the fact that Trump is coming in is doing a lot for securing our borders already, if that's what you mean. If that's the angle you're getting here.
I'm getting at the fact that they're trying to burn the house down before they leave. That's what my point is.
Yeah, and I know this is later in our talk, but it kind of segues into it, which is why the drones flying around on the East Coast are such a concern too, because it just seems like the time is ripe for all the countries that want to do damage to America to hurry up and get their shots in before Biden leaves. And Joe Biden really hasn't been a leader since Kamala Harris was the heir apparent for the Democrat Party. He's sort of hung out on the beach, and we've been a little bit rudderless in the White House. And, we have just a few weeks left, and I just don't know if there's anything that Donald Trump can do except to go out there and make the narrative that things are going to be different when he comes in.
Well, I think everybody knows that. I mean, that is the only saving grace, clearly, is that Cheryl, that's there's, the cavalry is over the ridge on the other side of the mountain, and they're coming. But man, oh man, these people are like locusts. They're destructive. And so my second question along the same line is, will there be any consequences to the Democrats for this behavior? And I want to roll into the whole issue of pardons, because, they're talking about all these preemptive pardons. So I want to get kind of a 1-2 here. Do you think there'll be consequences for the bad behavior? And do you think that the issue regarding pardons is going to be something that the American people accept?
So to hit the last one first, the preemptive pardons are just ridiculous. And
Oh yeah,
I don't think any American is in favor of that, except the most farthest left of leftist Democrats, which is to say most in the Democrat Party. But the interesting question here is about consequences, because everybody wants that when there's a new administration. They want consequences for those who did wrong in the previous administration. And normally I would say, I don't think so. I really don't. I was saying that back when Donald Trump was campaigning the first time, and he was talking about jailing Hillary Clinton and everything. And I thought it was bogus. I thought it was campaign speech, and that was it. But this time around, between COVID and Ukraine and the pardon of Hunter Biden, I think that actually with this administration, and we have some determined Republicans coming in with Donald Trump to hold these people accountable, I think we might. January 6th alone, I think, is going to be very interesting come the new year.
Well, funny thing, Amy Klobuchar agrees with us, and that's a surprising thing as well. Check it out. She was on Face the Nation very recently against one of the chicks who tried to fix the Kamala Harris-Trump debate.
I want to ask you about President Biden. This past week, he had this record number of commutations, 1,500 Americans, more than any president in any single day. Among them, though, there was a judge involved in a so-called Cash for Kids scheme that sent thousands of kids to jail for millions of dollars. A man who committed tax fraud at a cost of more than $1.6 billion, described as the most prolific, pernicious, utterly unrepented tax cheat in U.S. history.
Billion. Yep.
A woman who was involved in a $26 million scheme to defraud Medicare. Are you comfortable with some of these decisions?
No. There's also a man in Duluth that was running a major drug house, basically, and had all this money under his bathroom tiles, was also commuted. So the way I look at this is, I also didn't agree with the pardon of the president's son. I also have not agreed with a number of pardons that President Trump gave.
And look, at least she's being honest, because every president has questionable pardons, but this guy, this guy's, first off, I guess he's okay with people defrauding Medicare and the taxpayers there, because Biden and Harris have spent 4 years defrauding the taxpayers already. So he's their guy. And believe me, letting loose the pedophile, and of course the borderline Chinese spy who was keeping kids' pictures, that wasn't even mentioned in this list. These are what happens is he puts the record out there, the record number out there, so people talk about the record number of pardons and clemencies, which basically mostly were drug offenses, and that's fair.
Well, it's at the core of their philosophy. As Joseph Stalin once said, the death of one person is a tragedy. The death of a million is a statistic. So they're just following their own playbook.
And then the big headline will be the number. Whereas delving into it, he hides the people that he wanted to push through, or maybe had to push through.
So what do you make of this, Cheryl? I mean, even the Democrats are kind of appalled at his behavior. But again, is there going to be any consequences here? Because they do this all the time.
Oh, they do this all the time. This is the Democrat Party. This is their normal way of operating. And I'm not even so sure that Joe Biden was aware of who he was granting pardons to. It seems to me, I
Wow.
picture
Yeah,
him sitting at his
possibly.
desk and just signing whatever's put in front of him. And it's people behind the scenes that will never be held accountable for their actions because we don't know who they are, who did much
Yeah.
of the dirty work during the Joe Biden administration.
So I guess, and so I want to talk about this proactive pardon thing next. But one of the notable, I guess, this is a rumor. This isn't a outlet. I just read it this morning. Apparently, is considering pardoning Dr. Jill Biden for having falsely said she was a dental proctologist. I don't know if that's true or not, but I pardon her for that too if I were him. Just saying.
Oh.
But I digress. But by the way, the source is Babylon Bee, so I guess it's probably not accurate.
Oh, I mean, maybe the fact checkers will jump on that, like they did on that the washing machine with the. Oh,
Anyway, let's get away from dental proctology and get back to pardons. So, but Cheryl, I do believe that this would be something never done. Is the idea of now? First off, there's two pieces here we have to accept as true. First off, you have to accept as true that to be eligible for a pardon, you have had to do something illegal. You've had to break the law. Am I correct on that?
I think so.
I'm just asking because while I'm not a lawyer, I have played one in front of the Iowa Supreme Court, and we won, by the way. Just saying for the record, back in '86. But anyway, so that if we accept that to be true, then the second part is, man, oh man, you're talking about a lot of people who were engaged in high-level wrongdoing. If the names are accurate, who they're proposing these things for, right? I mean, this is like an admission of guilt.
That's how I take it. I mean, why do you need a pardon unless you've done something worthy of pardoning? And, just giving a blanket pardon for X number of years. So from 1990 to 2024, anything that you may have done that's criminal, we just pardon it.
It's nuts.
It's ridiculous, and you have to laugh. But the fact that the Democrats are actually debating this, like this is something viable that the American people will accept, and I think something like that would actually end up in court. I don't understand how it could not be challenged. The president does have the power, but you can't pardon things without naming what the crimes are. There has to be some definition or clarity on what you're pardoning.
That's what I'm talking about. So, in essence, this would be the biggest admission of
guilt,
of guilt ever in history. Yeah.
Well, this has precedent, as people know or remember. We talked about the case, the Burdick versus United States case in 1915, it's a Supreme Court case, and yes, it's an admission of guilt. Whereas you're accepting this pardon again. If you and Bill Clinton float around Hillary Clinton getting one of these as well, I'm sure Obama's wanted one, that sort of thing. Or there are going to be some figures maybe getting these, but the idea is they have to admit they were guilty to something all those years. Right. And let's put it this way: Hunter Biden, I'm sure, was involved in Joe Biden's crimes, but I don't know if he can pardon himself now, can he?
Well, wait, Chris, you brought up Bill Clinton, and I don't know. I did not have sex with that woman, Hillary Clinton. I mean, Monica Lewinsky. I don't know.
I believe you the first time. There we go.
That's right.
But
anyway, there's Joe.
But remember, Joe Biden ran a scandal-free administration. Just listen to him.
That's right. We run a campaign that's basically scandal-free. It's hard to do in American politics.
Hard to do. Yeah, well, if you're a Democrat, especially. Just say it.
And let's not forget, Barack Obama was the most transparent president ever, even though he went after the press and he did all the behind scenes, pen and phone politicking and all that.
No,
you can do whatever you want if you're pretty.
I saw my friend James Rosen last week at the James was targeted by them.
Yes, he was.
Legitimate reporting.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my friend Ed Henry, good morning, Ed. Our evil overlord is probably watching. He was, I think, obviously one of the ones they didn't like because he was constantly after Hillary regarding he was the Fox News person on the campaign trail following Hillary. And he got her to, he asked that question when she was wearing the orange jumper, which is appropriate, the orange jumper, the federal orange jumper. Ask her about did she wipe the server, with a claw?
With a
That
claw.
was Obama.
And
That's
yeah,
all Obama. So
well, that's just
saying.
for the fingerprints. There we go.
That's right. That's right. It's like, well, only after I kill people. I don't normally wipe things otherwise.
Well,
So.
there is hope for America, though. By the way, Cheryl, Tony, there's a lot of hope for America because, as you've seen in the news, the ratings for CNN and MSNBC have plunged
Ooh,
because people are getting
yes.
sick and tired of being lied to and hearing all the BS. And there's more of this, too. Did you hear what Stephen A. Smith said recently? And believe me, if the Democrats lose Stephen A. Smith, it's a bad day for them. But he was talking about January 6th. He was talking about being lied
This is
to and
great.
everything else.
It's a great segment. Yeah.
Yeah, check this out.
The news comes amidst a bombshell report from the Justice Department that revealed the FBI had at least 26 confidential informants on the ground when the Capitol was stormed on January 6, 2021.
Yep.
The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only three of its 26 informants had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote.
Dangerous.
Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case.
Boy, he's angry.
And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way.
Welcome to reality,
I see
Steve.
Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or,
Tony.
the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really pissed off about?
Tinkled off.
I'm getting really ticked off. And every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case.
That's right. He's very mad because he's spent 4 years decades parroting the Democrats' talking points.
Well, that's true. I mean, on my Twitter feed or X feed, I tweeted out a list of all these things that we were right on, they were wrong on. But more importantly, 2 points. So, Cheryl, I'm friends with Kelly Sadler of the Washington Times. She's over. She works for both Newsmax and you all, and we're kicking ass on our side. Newsmax is actually beating CNN in ratings now, consistently. It's getting more and more consistent. I'm not just saying it because I work for Newsmax, because I do, but I think people are fed up with being lied to. I think Stephen A. Smith reflects how a lot of people feel, and the bottom has dropped out of a lot of big programs, right, Chris? A lot of big lefty programs have had like a drop in ratings. So,
even
do you think this trend's going to continue? Yeah, Cheryl, do you think this trend's going to continue, or what do you make of this?
I do, and I actually think it goes to the point that you brought up a few minutes ago about the potential to have consequences for people when this new administration comes in. Because if you look at the trend, not just Stephen Smith, but look at Joe Rogan, look at the clip you played from Amy Klobuchar. I messed up her last name. Look at some of the things that you see on social media, normally from the leftists who attack Republicans, who are now having their own awakenings. And to me, it goes toward the point that Americans are having their eyes open to the very wicked designs of the Democrat Party. And they're seeing the media as playing along with that. And with the ratings falling at CNN, MSNBC, and other leftist places, I do think that the larger point here is to keep in mind that the consequences could very well be coming for some of these liars on the left.
Well, let's hope so, because that's part of the issue is they've benefited and profited from the lies. I mean, I
Mhm.
look back everything from Rachel Maddow or Mad Cow, depending on one's perspective, to Adam Schiff, to Debbie Wash Your Hair Schultz.
Yeah.
They've all worked together to basically not only inflict but amplify things we know to be lies now. And I still see Adam Schiff is not going to be senator. Deborah Wash Your Hair Schultz got reelected. A lot of these folks just continue to plod on, and I seem to think there's very limited things. And now I look, you all know I support President Trump. I'm talking to a lot of the folks on a daily basis who are going into the next administration. But my question to you is, do you think they can do anything to really? Because they always say it's vengeance. I don't think it's vengeance if you actually can document the fact, Cheryl, that people have lied over and over, knowing they're lying, lied to the American people in such a way to not only gain political benefit, but destroy the very fabric of our republic. So do you think Trump should do anything about it? And if so, what do you think he should do about some of these people that we're talking about?
So the Democrats call it vengeance because they want
I
it
know.
dismissed, right? They
Right, of
purposely
course,
do that.
yes.
But what it is really is justice, right? It's truth and
That's
justice.
the way I look at it.
Yeah,
It's
and
accountability.
it
That's what it's
is.
called.
So Donald Trump, I don't think he should get bogged down completely in his administration with dealing with these issues. It's more a matter for his Justice Department, more even a matter for Congress to look into. But I do think that he can support and even take the lead in bringing about the narratives to investigate certain people and goings on, especially when it comes to the deep state stuff that has, really degraded America's law and order for so many years now. And Donald Trump
Yeah.
really was number one target for that. So he can definitely advocate for it. I just don't think he should become bogged down with it.
Well, Trixie Univix just said, obviously, it's consequences, not vengeance. I agree. I agree with Trixie. I agree with the folks that something needs. But again, he's got to start fixing things at the same time. So I'd like to believe maybe that's why he's picked Kash Patel
Mm-hmm.
to be there. And get the guy.
Well, the question is
yeah.
here: would Trump really be bogged down with this since he's going to be busy doing everything else? It's the Justice Department that will be working mostly on this. You're talking about Pam Bondi and
I know Pam.
working your
Yeah,
way
just-
downwards,
these
right?
Good people.
I believe. Look, what's wrong with actually reinvestigating corruption? What's wrong with the Department of Justice doing things like that? This is not about going after Catholics who prefer the Latin Mass, like this administration, the current administration, was doing. It's not about spying on Donald Trump because he was running against Hillary Clinton, like the Obama administration was doing. These things
Yeah.
have to be checked into. And unfortunately, Hunter Biden's going to be pardoned for a lot of his potential role in this. But I like to see what the heck America did when it came to Honduras back during the Biden Obama administration. A lot of things opened my eyes up to that over the years. I mean,
Yeah.
that dictator is in jail. What hand did? I mean, Pope Francis was involved in this too, by the way. But what hand did Obama and Biden have in that?
Well, I don't know, but let's take a break and actually bring up something sunny and fun, which is Paul Stone and the Colonial Metals Group. So the way Chris framed that, I think, is good. We have to look at the totality, well, totalitarians too, because that's who they are, but totality of what's going on. And like we've been going through and diagnosing the rich and abiding history of the Democrat corruption, right? I think it's rich and abiding, right? Those are good descriptors of the Democrat corruption.
It's a
But one thing you
flamboyant
want-
history.
It's a flamboyant. It's like the Charles Nelson Riley of corruption.
Hey, that man is crystal clean. Okay. Oh boy. Anyway,
I love Charles. I loved them in the old.
Yeah,
days.
all the
Gene
babes love
Rayburn.
him. Right.
Yeah. Anyway, but back to the topic. So you need to be prepared because the history of our economy has not been as good as it should be either. Even with President Trump rolling in to focus on the economy to fix things as rapidly as possible, dropping the bottom out of energy prices by opening production, doing everything he can to actually regain benefit of U.S. manufacturing, of U.S. primacy regarding economic freedom. going to take time. So that time is for you to fill by going and checking out Colonial Metals Group and looking at what they can do for you. Paul Stone and his team at Colonial Metals regarding what they can do for you for gold and silver. You need to actually open up the potential of your portfolio and secure you and your family's future for purposes of making sure that whatever happens, good or bad, you are prepared. Gold is a great value right now. I cannot believe the prices of gold. I've got some gold, and man, oh man, you got, silver is also wonderful right now to get into. So anyway, call them now, 800-805-4034, 800-805-4034, or go to Ed Henry, let's see, at colonialmetalsgroup.com/Ed-Henry. You'll thank us later for what we encourage you to do today. And again, Colonial Metals Group, Paul Stone and his team, go check them out. You cannot go wrong. You'll go right. Unlike the left, who's gone way left, right, Cheryl? They're so far left. I think Joseph Stalin would consider them left of him at this point. So.
Oh wow! How left can you go? How left can anybody go at this point? I can give you an answer to that. You think this is bad here? Let's go to Iceland. This is. Have you heard about this? It winds up, according to a report from GB News, which, by the way, the state-run BBC does not like. Iceland is throwing a guy, or is threatening to throw a guy in jail for saying, get this, that men should not chest feed babies in public. Check this out.
In Iceland, Elder Christensen, chairman of Samtökin 22, a gender-critical organization that supports single-sex spaces and opposes the medical transitioning of children, is being investigated by police over 7 posts he shared on Facebook and X, where he expressed criticism of male breastfeeding and the teaching of gender diversity to children.
Yep. The Icelandic government is going after him just because he says men shouldn't pretend to breastfeed. It's damaging to the child.
So Iceland is a great place to visit, apparently. But Cheryl, did you know that there are lists of approved baby names that you are restricted to naming your baby of in Iceland?
Oh, no, I hadn't heard of that.
I'm serious. Yeah. If you decide that you're going to have a baby, you have to pick an approved name from a government list.
Yes, the Icelandic Naming Committee. They have that.
I'm not joking.
It's true. Yeah. It's almost as bad as the old Soviet Union's Department of Jokes, and that was true too. Yakov Smirnov actually said this in an interview with me. There was a Department of Jokes in the Soviet Union that every comedian had to run them through.
Like 1984 Ministry of Jokes, I guess. But the Iceland naming thing, is that just to preserve their heritage, or no? It's
just control. Wow. The government will tell you what you can name your kids. It's far left, and I can't believe we don't talk about this more. Chris, kudos on you for bringing this up, because I had forgotten all about how far left Iceland has actually gone. I mean, they are.
It's also a eugenics left too, because these are the same people that support aborting babies with the autism gene.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty bad.
It's like the boys from Brazil got drunk and picked up a bunch of Danish blondes, went to an island and had babies.
Oh, and by the way, Iceland, and was it July earlier this year in 2024? They added 6 more names to the list. You can now name your kids Nuri and Foster if you're men, if they're boys, and girls can now be named Anna, Ahelia, Maribet, and Raj.
There you go.
Like the guy from What's Happening? Raj.
Yeah,
he was one of my favorites, by the way. I was like,
did they add John Kirby's name to the list of applicable boys?
I don't know if either one of them are applicable. To be honest with you, I'll get that full list. I don't think anybody wants me to rattle off the full list.
We'll see. No. We'd be here for hours.
Right.
So.
I wonder if Sven is in there.
So I guess they want to make America, our left, want to make us more like Iceland, so that you can go and pick and choose what they tell you want. I think it's all about that level of control, but I digress. But I think this is part of the situation, though. And again, this circles back, Cheryl, to my point about the unwillingness of the left to atone for its failures. I think the left's going to go more towards Iceland. I don't think they're going to learn from this. What do you think?
Yeah, you would think the media itself, the warning signs were there for years now for the media to have this big downfall on, CNN, MSNBC, not really surprised that they've lost so much viewership. And to go toward your point, to answer your question, that just tells me that they're going to dig in even more, right? If the left wanted to, all the warning signs have been there for years, and they don't. They just keep digging in and going farther and farther left, thinking they're going to drag America down that path. But, good, let them go. It's sooner or later they'll fall off the cliff, and we get to start over again.
Well, we're a few of the ones who have some level of common sense kind of jumping off the gerbil bandwagon. Is that what it is? A band of gerbils going off the edge?
The gerbil exercise wheel or something.
The gerbil, that's right. They're like little, going towards it. Anyway, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks and Chunk Yogurt. I mean, Chunk, I can never, and I've been on the TV with him a couple of times and I always get his name wrong. Anyway, they've both, considering the fact that they consider themselves progressives, and I don't know which is worse, progressives or liberals. It's like every time I think I got it tied down, like the progressives are the extreme left. No, we're not the extreme left. It's the liberals. And you talk to the liberals like, no, it's them. So I don't know I don't know how you label. I guess you just label them trans. No, you can't do that. We'll get in trouble for that. I guess you label them like we have neocons. They have neolibs. I guess the neolibs are the ones who are, by the way, they're taking our neocons. They're like kind of this
they can have them.
Cat. Yeah, it's like this like I don't know what does a cat cough up when they have
hairballs. Hairballs.
It's like a hairball, like an evil hairball.
It only
so they're going, but I'm just saying there's folks who are waking up. They're saying our side is nuts. This has gone too far. But I don't hear anybody in leadership saying that. Cheryl. So
that's the problem. And when Trump won, one of the first headlines I saw where there were a few Democrats who came out and spoke critically against the transgender lunacy and said, quietly for years now, they have felt, as Republicans do, that it has gone too far. But it wasn't until Trump won that they spoke up. And where have you guys been? Americans don't want this. All the Democrats and their policies have been far leftist and don't really represent what America wants, and yet they've been quiet. So they just go with political wins. That's all it is.
Well, I guess we'll see. Because the time is rolling on, Trump's rolling in, and we're going to see some big changes. So I've already started getting hints about Inauguration Day, some other things. So my last question to you is this, because I want to talk about the drones as our last issue. Do you think that they're going to pull more shenanigans like the drone issue before we get to 20 January?
Knowing Democrats and the left, yes. You would think at a certain point they would say, okay, we've lost. It's time to regroup, re-strategize, and come up with a new battle plan. But no, they just keep digging in. So I'd have to say yes, watch out for something coming before inauguration.
Well, my question then, that's why I brought the drone thing up, Chris. So the drone thing to me is something that nobody seems to know the answers. Like the answer is, I think it's us. I think it's them. I don't think anybody in their right mind would allow drones to be flying according to FAA regulations with lights on. It's like, okay, I'm a clandestine guy. It's like I get this question tonight with Rick Leventhal. It's like, Tony, do you think this is some clandestine test? Like, no, Rick, we've done clandestine stuff and you don't know about it. That's the point of clandestine. It's like nobody knows. But in this case, they're being very obvious about it. To me, it's a distraction. And I think there's ample evidence that if we wanted to stop these things, we would. So what do you think?
Well, I think we should just shoot them down and be done with it. I really don't know what the drones are all about, but it does seem if whoever's operating the drones wanted to be secretive about it, they're not doing a very good job. So you're
exactly
probably right.
I know. So I think it's all another charade. By the way, it's a great movie, by the way, with the best Hitchcock movie that Hitchcock didn't make, Charade, with Cary Grant and oh my goodness, that cute brunette that looks like Catherine Herridge. Come on, Chris, who is that?
Audrey Hepburn.
She was Audrey Hepburn. Yeah. And shout out to my friend Catherine. So I'm trying to get Catherine on. I've asked her. She's kind of busy. She's had some family issues. Charade. That's a good charade. See that charade. Don't look at the one that the Biden folks are doing. Ignore that one.
Yes. Ignore that.
Yeah.
Also,
That's
maybe
right.
they
But
can find
go check out
celebrity
Charade.
charades.
Yeah,
There we
Charade.
go.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. So anyway, but man, oh man, we've had another fun hour. Where is the time gone, Chris?
It
Huh?
goes,
Why
it goes too fast.
do you do something to time during these shows? Because it's like I have 2 cups of coffee and we're done. So
It's
like, wow.
Schaefer savings time.
Savings time. All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. So Cheryl, one of the great pledges of Donald J. Trump is to eliminate daylight savings time. What say you?
Please do. I can't come to the end. Can't come quick enough for me.
No,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
no.
Uh-oh.
There are
That is
reasons
sending
for
votes.
this. First off, I like the idea of having daylight savings time, so it's later at night, like 9:30, or 8 or 9, when we're driving around doing some things in the summer. That's fine. That's great. But also, if you eliminate daylight savings time, then you could wind up. Well, let's put it this way: it depends on which one you do, because I believe they were discussing keeping daylight savings time. The other side of that sword is during the winter, you're going to have commuter hours that are going to be very dark on the highways and very dark on crowded streets. So changing this
Chris, it
comes
gets
with
dark at
convenience.
4:30 here where I live. So
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry.
That's another issue. Again, that's right. But again, I guess what happens is there's convenience
Yeah.
involved when it comes like this, but
Yes,
there are also
exactly.
other issues that we need to take into account as well.
Like feeding your animals, right? That it's
Hey.
hey, every 6 months it gets out of whack and your animals drive you nuts.
Exactly.
That's right. They get
Exactly.
very upset.
And
That's right.
and Chris, gerbils don't recognize changes in time. So if they don't
That's because in
recognize it,
some
we should
places it's dark all the time.
Yes.
That's there you go for Democrats especially. Yeah. Just saying. Ed Buck and a couple of other actors. Just saying.
Ouch.
And
Hey-yo.
obviously, gerbils and Arizona do not recognize daylight savings time. And
Oh,
is there a correlation there? I don't know. Anyway, well, Cheryl Chumley from the Washington Times, tell us about what's your latest thing you're doing right now to tell the good folks to come check you out.
God-Given or Bust: Defeating Marxism and Saving America with Biblical Truths is my newest book. You can get it now on Amazon. And you guys,
Check it
I
out.
hope you come to my book launch party in DC in the next
When?
month or so. I'll get you.
Oh, let us know.
Yep.
Okay.
sure
I
will.
will
us
be
know.
there. I will be there. I will
Alrighty.
be there. And
I'll give it
if
a
it's
shot.
okay, I'd like to we'll do an interview with you for the show if that's okay. We'll
Very
get you
good.
an
That
Awesome.
would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be
All right.
speaking with you in an hour or so. Yes. For my podcast. In case you didn't know that, Tony.
Yeah, I know that. I think.
Okay.
Did I know that, Chris? I
I
think
think
I
it was
knew that.
12. Yeah, we did
My
that. We
morning
set
is
up for-
open.
I think we
No,
set this up for about 12, right?
Yes, 12.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
fine. No, I'm good for
Okay.
that. No, I've got to do Mercedes
Mercedes.
Schlepp wants me to do some taping with her later today. And believe it or not, Channel 9, I don't know if you knew this. I'm a contributor to Channel 9 Today Show in Australia. So I'm big in
Oh, wow.
Australia, not big in Japan. Right, Chris? There's a
Yep.
difference.
It's a little. You could be big in Japan. You'll be waiting for your men tonight because you're big in Japan. Of
That's
course,
right.
that really meant drug dealer, I believe. But that's
Well,
it could be
it's still a
taken
great
few different
show.
ways.
It's
Yes.
still, I love that song. That's a great, another, life is easy when you're big in Japan. So, and I'm not, just saying, but I'm big in Australia, which is better because I can put shrimp on the Barbie. Right, Chris?
Sure. Yeah. Barbecue. Yes. Not on the
All
Barbie
right.
doll.
So, by the way, Cheryl, did you catch earlier in the show, I talked about my trolling John Kirby at the Army-Navy game?
No, I missed that. No.
You need to go. Yeah. So,
Check it out.
I don't want to repeat it for the folks, but
Right.
yeah, John was in the Army warming room because the Navy wouldn't let him in their room. Just saying, Admiral Kirby was not permitted. So I guess they saw his boat and put it in a different harbor, right, Chris?
Poor John.
I would say
No port for you, John. Anyway,
No.
But before I go, I got to say, all right, Navy won. I'm wearing the Army jersey, and a shout out to Arlene, who's Navy Lieutenant Commander. Okay, you won, 31-13. You got us.
Wow.
So it was all. No matter who loses, we all win because Army Navy, wonderful folks, wonderful spirit. It is America's game. I noticed that Donald J. Trump showed up, and Joe Biden didn't show up. I wonder why. Hey, by the way, just for the record, Joe Biden has not shown up at a single Army Navy game since he's been president. And it is a tradition, another tradition.
Right.
I guess Hunter couldn't find drugs at the game, so he couldn't go. So Joe didn't go.
Maybe he thought it was in
accurate?
Reykjavik.
Yeah. So blows and I think are blows and hoes still legal in Reykjavik? I think they are.
Well,
So,
I wouldn't know.
I don't
We'll
know.
have to ask Hunter.
I'm not big in Japan, so I don't know these things. Just saying.
We'll have to ask Hunty. The
All
great
right,
artiste.
Cheryl, thank you for being a good sport, being with us. Chris, is always great to have you here, and rolling the facts out so we can make fun of them. Right?
Yes,
That should be
absolutely.
our motto. So,
Thanks for having
so
me.
that's it, folks. Yeah. Thanks for another great show. We'll see you Patriots tomorrow. I'll see you later, Cheryl. And
Mhm.
Patriots, we'll see you tomorrow morning again for another great episode of Wake Up Patriots. That's us. That's you. All of us. Here we are, and we'll see you again tomorrow.